Yo, Big Kish back up in here. Now we know Jim Jones has been going at Nas for saying that he popularized him and Nas ain't never had this type of attention, this clout. He brung him all of this. And guess who's about to butt in it, man? We got 50 Cent about to destroy Jim Jones for coming at Nas. Before we get into that, y'all make sure y'all pick up a copy of Street Dad, Geek Dad, Avoiding the Manufactured Mindset, written by me, Big Kish. The link will be in the description for purchase alongside the Discord and some merch if you're interested. And I appreciate all y'all support. Shout out to all the members. Shout out to the Get It Gang. Y'all know I'm like holding y'all. Without further ado, let's get it.
I'm in the game still rapping at a high capacity. If Nas wants to smoke, come in the booth. I will rap
You don't want
circles
no
around.
smoke. He enjoying that 150 million, 200 million. He done
Okay
made.
then, so then leave me alone while I'm on the field.
You was effing with him. He wasn't bothering you.
They don't really know who Nas is. If he's 22, he's born in 03.
Not all of them, some of them know.
Jim Jones was never better than Nas. Jim Jones will never be better than Nas. And this is coming from somebody that's not a Nas fan. I love Dipset. I love the Diplomats. I love Bird Gang. But we not about to start rewriting history because Jim Jones got confidence.
Jim Jones went on Shannon Sharpe's podcast and said he's more influential than Nas. Not just relevant, more important to the culture. And the second he said that, everything shifted. 50 Cent didn't clap back with a post.
Bruh, they had a whole line of high school students. They said, do you know Nas? Do you know Wale? They was like, yeah, we know them. They said, do you know Jim Jones? Most of them, I say 90% of them was like, nope, we don't know him. We don't know him.
He didn't name names. He just dropped an old federal transcript on Instagram and let the streets do the math. Now fans are digging up wiretaps. Old clips are resurfacing. And Jim, he's in the gym talking diss tracks, barking back like he's prepping for war in Rikers. But this isn't just about Nas, and it's definitely not just about ego. This feels like 50 reminding the industry who's really untouchable and why some people mysteriously dodged indictments. Jim might have started this to prove a point, but now he might have triggered something way bigger than music. There's a reason Jim Jones mentioning Nas always hits different, because the tension between them didn't start yesterday. This wasn't some random generational jab. Their history goes all the way back to 2002, when Nas went on a Hot 97 rant and randomly dissed Cameron, calling his album whack for no clear reason. That was enough to send Dipset into attack mode, and Jim Jones jumped in head first. From there, it got messy. Nas and Dipset were throwing shots across mixtapes. Jim, he made it personal. He threatened to smack the kufi off Nas, and kept that same energy in tracks like We Fly High and It's More Than Music. But here's where it gets more layered. Jim always loved Nas, and just 1 year ago, he wasn't saying anything bad about him.
I never got to see Nas. I never got to sit down and have a conversation with Nas and things like that. I had called you about it and things like that. That was like still one of the people that I never got to have a conversation throughout my history of rap and things like that. I think I would love to have a conversation with Nas. I wouldn't know if he knows it, but Nas was one of my all-time favorite rappers coming up and things like that.
I've heard you say that.
Since the barbecue.
There you have it. Who do he sound like, y'all? Who do he sound like?
And things like that. Like he really put the whole dope boy rap, crack hustler, get fresh rap into perspective before anybody else.
But admiration turned to shade real quick. It all flipped when Jim showed up on Fat Joe and Jadakiss's podcast, and Fat Joe decided to stir the pot.
I recently saw a clip on Instagram where a young kid was comparing you to Nas and saying that you got
that's my young boy.
Big hits.
He's wild.
Yo, he looked to you. He learned how to wear the BB Simon belt from you. He got his swag. Like, how crazy is that? Because in my era, you know what I'm saying? Nas is like a god.
In my era too.
That alone could have been left on the timeline, but Jim wasn't done yet. He couldn't wait to elaborate on this topic.
I admired Nas, but remember Nas' first record, The Barbecue, came out when I was in 11th grade.
Yes.
So Nas was my idol when I was young. Like you did, came to dressing, the wordplay, the music, everything. I was a superior Nas fan, period. I'd never take that away from him. But then as I got in the game, you gotta realize that your rivals would be idols, and not to take anything away from that, I developed my own style in my own lane that these kids start to gravitate.
He said your rivals will be your idols.
Towards the same way I gravitate gravitated towards Nas when I was younger and things like that. It's a whole different generation.
Then, out of nowhere, he dropped one of the most reckless takes in recent hip-hop memory.
I came into light and started going crazy that these kids love me. They don't really know who Nas is. If he's 22, he's born in 03.
Not all of them. Some of them know. But
You know what I mean?
A lot
Like-
of them know.
Jim didn't just say he was more relevant, he positioned himself as more influential than Nas, the Nas Queen.
Remember, Kiss just destroyed the whole Dipset on stage on that versus battle.
Bridge, the man behind Illmatic, God's Son, King's Disease, the dude who still sells out Madison Square Garden in his 50s. But Jim wasn't backing down. He didn't stutter. In fact, he doubled down.
You know, me, Jim Jones. No diplomats, no nobody else. Me, Jim Jones. Check my track record, then check everybody else's track record. Then go to the billboards and check all my entries, then check all them entries and shit. And I'm not taking nothing away from nobody, but I hear the comparisons and then be trying to act funny when it comes. No, I've been spanking a lot of this shit about the industry. I've been putting on.
That interview didn't just stir the pot, it flipped it over and lit it on fire. Before the dust even settled from that podcast, Jim popped up on a whole other platform, this time on Shannon Sharpe's Nightcap, ready to double down. Jim Jones slid onto Nightcap with Shannon and Chad Ochocinco Johnson to explain the comments, and ended up pouring more gasoline on the fire. Shannon didn't let him slide. He opened the convo by saying,
Can I ask you a question, Jim?
Mm-hmm.
You smoke, right?
Yeah.
Were you smoking when you said you better than Nas?
I might have been a little bit.
but what he said next made fans actually pause the episode.
I'm way more influential than Nas, and I don't care what nobody say. I know I made a little boo-boo when we talk about the sales and all this type of shit. I don't feel like getting into that rhetoric about where I started and where he started.
Well, you said that bullshit.
But listen, Nas was nice when I was in high school. When I was in 10th grade, Nas came out. Nas was dope. We appreciated him. He had a little bit run.
But just when you think Jim's done comparing resumes, he pulls out one more hot take. Jim started bringing up old Dipset versus Nas beef from the early 2000s, claimed he was a superior Nas fan, but that he'd surpassed him in impact. He started deflecting by bringing up Nas' fashion influence, calling him one of the flyest ever, but kept pivoting back to one point. Nas doesn't influence the streets like he does.
But Nas always came up second to Jay and DMX and all these other people. Like, he
Ain't
never
no
had
shame in that. There a
he
lot
never
of
had-
folks
he
came up
never had
second to
that
Tom
type of-
Brady.
He never had that type of influence on us, except for his first album. I already told you, I used to want to dress like Nas because he had a lot of fresh clothes that the hustlers used to wear, and we used to see him on TV. He had one of the illest albums of all time. And then in high school when he had the barbecue and shit like that. So I'm a real fan of Nas, but he kind of lost me after the movie Belly and shit like that.
Shannon wasn't having it.
Bro, you been in this thing, but lyrically, I'm gonna keep it a stack with you.
Yeah,
Y'all
but look
ain't
how you
effing with
dress.
Nas.
Look how you dress. You don't even be in the same places I be in. The
But
things
I-
that we, listen to
I
me,
can be in the church house. You can't F with Nas
the
lyrics.
things that we.
I don't know who told you that. Now look, y'all know you on that good stuff, but you not.
He said, I know you on that good stuff. He said, I could be in the church house. Hey, Shannon Sharpe, hey, look, this how they was supposed to stand on. This how Jadakiss and Fat Joe was supposed to be standing on business when he came and was spewing all that rhetoric, man. You got Shannon Sharpe standing on business, man. Come on, Fat Joe and Jada, bro.
Seeing Nas.
Meanwhile, Jim was so salty that he started clowning Shannon for his clothes.
You got a bunch of 40 and 50-year-olds in their panties because I said I'm better
It
than
don't
Nas.
matter.
Look at you. Look at you.
Nobody,
all in your,
ain't
all in
nobody
your
from
film.
Dipset gonna take
Shannon,
you
that
over
shirt-
Nas.
that
Nobody
shirt
from the
too-
Diplomats
that
but
shirt-
you.
That
Hey,
shirt
I
too
got
tight.
Chad trying to talk. Hey, you see him trying to fix his lips, trying to talk. He like,
That shirt too tight. That shirt too tight.
Hold on.
That
Jimmy,
shirt too tight. You want to go back
hold
to
on.
I really mean it? I really mean it started. We could go back to
but I
the
just
history,
said,
bro.
but you didn't
Don't
even
do
say that.
bro.
By
He ain't
this
get no
point,
word in.
Ocho Cinco was sitting there just
He ain't
watching
get no
Shannon
word
and
in.
Jim go at it.
I'm still playing at a
Jada,
high level.
hey,
You
you-
better check my
you-
record,
you
heard?
jumping up and
I'm
down.
still playing
You
at
need
a
to
high
go back
level.
and get Jada. Jada
I'm
been
rapping
cooked
at,
on.
I'm rapping at a high level. You better check my stats, bro. I will
we
run
not
circles
denying
around
that.
Nas rapping
He
right.
said, yeah.
I will run circles around Nas rapping right
Nas
now.
is not the game.
Right now, I
Nas
will
done put his
run
microphone up. Let me take my mic
Saturn.
off.
I will
Give me a
run
mic.
Saturn around Nas right now rapping.
Then Jim accused Shannon of only bringing him on for views, which made Unc explode.
This the biggest podcast you ever been on.
on.
You
Hey,
know
yo,
the podcast
you know
you been
Nas-
on
hey.
bigger than this one.
Hold on. We off
I'm
topic.
not a
Hold on.
podcaster.
No,
Jimmy, hold on.
This is what I do.
Joe.
You see
Name
you
a
in your
podcast you been
feelings?
on
You see
bigger
in
than
your
this one.
feelings?
When you get big, you get invited to Club Shay Shay.
This is what I do.
Nas get invited to Club Shay Shay.
But then Shannon flipped it. He went from podcast host to opponent real quick. Because if
He said Nas get invited to Club Shay Shay, you get a FaceTime, ninja.
Jim wanted smoke, Shannon was ready to drag him to the gym. When Jim told Shannon Sharpe that he was better than Nas, Shannon didn't just challenge his bars, he challenged his body.
You gotta start buying baggy your clothes, big fella. You too big, man.
You talk about you in the gym. Now you want to get me? You want me to see me in the gym?
Oh, we can do
Since
that.
you like to talk that ish, now come see me in the gym.
We talking about working out. What we talking about? Working out or strength? What are you talking about? Working out or strength?
I don't know, Shannon Sharpe. Jim Jones, he one of them calisthenic guys. You know them calisthenic guys. They can move their body, but way better than the bodybuilders.
However you want to do it.
We talking about
since you got money.
If we talking about
put your money where your mouth feels.
So you talking about working out?
Run them stacks.
You talking about working out? I burn you. You talking about working out or strength? Because you probably can lift a lot more than me.
Whatever.
You're bigger than me. You're probably stronger than me. But if you talk about working out, you talking about working out, I burn you.
This ain't what you do. This ain't what you want. You are doing good when you talk about Nas and Jada. You don't want to see this.
Instead of firing back at 50 directly, he tried to spin the conversation into a gym flex, challenging Shannon to a workout war, hoping to prove he's still relevant and dominant in a new arena. But while Jim was still caught up in gym theatrics, 50 had already made his move behind the scenes, and that Individual One label still sitting heavy in the background. Meanwhile, the audience was losing it in the comments. The internet was eating up the fact that a retired NFL Hall of Famer was now defending Nas like that. One fan said, Shannon did what Fat Joe and Jada should had done. Jones, you delusional. Shannon, thank you for bringing it up. And that's facts, because why were they so quiet during that interview? Meanwhile, 50 had been watching the circus unfold from the shadows, and he wasn't laughing. But just when people thought this was done being hilarious, it turned petty, because that's when fans resurfaced the clip.
But it got, honestly, I can't, if it was like Jim Jones, imagine putting a pen to paper to write about him. He was so nice. He was so nice about him. How did you do that? What's the first sentence? What the fuck do you write about him? I'm not anxious to hear the Jim Jones diss record. I'm like, yo. Used to have so nervous was like B.I.G., Pop. Right. Even Cannabis, like Eminem, used to have you like, if we go at it, dog, we gotta go hard. You know what I'm saying? But these Jim Jones, I respect you getting your money. You're like, exactly, right?
That's the ultimate disrespect. Jim didn't just get ignored by Nas back then, he got laughed off the stage. And in 2025, that same energy is back in circulation. But it didn't end there, because while Nas was staying quiet and Shannon was getting swole, someone else was watching everything from the shadows. As soon as 50 Cent...
Man, I love to hear a quiet ninja talk they shit. Ain't nothing like a quiet ninja talk this. He gonna have the people behind him, man. When somebody's known for being quiet and they come out and just talk their shit, I'm like, yeah, about time. About time.
Caught wind of Jim's better than Nas claim, he didn't even blink. He just laughed, pulled out a few receipts from his bottomless petty archive, and relit one of the most controversial rumors in hip-hop history after calling Jim Individual One. That one caption had the internet howling, because if you know, Individual One isn't just a nickname. It's a federal label straight out of a Tekashi 6ix9ine wiretap. Back in 2018, during Tekashi's 9 Trey Bloods trial, prosecutors played a phone call that they claimed featured Jim Jones, who was not named in court but referred to as Individual One. In that call, someone was allegedly instructing gang members to violate Tekashi for turning his back on the set. Jim's voice was never officially confirmed in court and he was never charged. But the streets, blogs, and especially 50 never let that moment go. And now, with Jim trying to puff up on podcasts and bait Nas into battle, 50 saw the perfect opening to remind everyone that the streets still remember. He dug back into his IG vault and reposted a meme he'd once quickly deleted. The one that said, "So that's why they ain't pull him in. Say it ain't so, Jimmy." Rewind to 2019 when the Shade Room had posted an update from Tekashi's court case. A verified courtroom reporter...
Damn. Why y'all let 50 in here, man? Why y'all let 50 in here, man? Y'all know he take it to the extreme.
Said Tekashi named Jim Jones as a 9 Trey member. 50 couldn't resist writing. Then came the infamous video of 50 looking terrified.
I'm hiding out in Texas.
please, whatever you do, don't tell him I'm in San Antonio. Don't tell him I'm staying at the Four Seasons. Don't tell him, please, don't tell him, man, because there's just so much pressure on me right now. I don't know what to do.
He literally wrote, "I'm afraid for my life, I mean Jimmy is gang gang." The internet was laughing, but Jimmy was twitching. But here's where things take a turn, because 50 didn't start this beef with Nas. He's had static with Jim for years, and this Nas moment, it gave him the perfect excuse to start dragging Jim all over again. Back in 2007, things got messy when 50 Cent brought Jim Jones and Jules Santana out on stage during a G-Unit show, right in the middle of Dipset's internal chaos. It was a move that Cameron saw as pure disrespect, especially since the group was already falling apart behind the scenes. Then in 2019, during Tekashi 6ix9ine's federal trial, Jim Jones got labeled as Individual 1 in a wiretapped phone call prosecutors played in court. Even though Jim was never officially charged, the name stuck, and the internet went wild with snitching rumors. Jim saw 50's posts, all of them, and for a minute he stayed quiet. He posted a classic Bird Gang era photo, dripping in Dipset nostalgia. The caption said, "Why you keep lying? LOL. I'm going back to sleep. Free Mel Matrix till it's reversed." Free Mel Matrix is a shout to his longtime friend who's serving over 11 years on racketeering charges. That was a jab, suggesting 50 was living in a fake world, building a fake narrative. Jim didn't stop there. He dropped another Jim flex, this time with the caption, "Somebody tell Shannon Sharpe don't start ducking this challenge now. You gon' talk like a podcaster or you gon' walk what you talk cause my sneakers tied. You already challenged me in front, the world might as well finch the job champ." Ocho Cinco, he said he don't want to do it in public. Tell let's do it in private. I know his rep as an athlete is on the line. As long as you're the witness, we don't duck, no challenges size. Don't matter where I'm from, run it. So while 50 was trolling from the sidelines, Jim was gearing up like he was ready for war. And to top it off, Jim also posted this, "If you 40 and up arguing with me about Nas, you already lost. Y'all fell for the bait. My streams go up every time L got viral. I'm teaching you older artists a lesson in marketing. Y'all so stuck in yesterday. Y'all mad at the way things run today, tighten up." And then his caption said it all. "I said what I said, PS. I will wrap circles around any artist from my era, whoever dare step into the booth, bring some money with you, cause this game ain't free. We outside in the field, take that as you may, but we working every day." But the craziest part, while all this was going down, Nas stayed quiet. Meanwhile, Jim's still baiting, still challenging, still calling himself more influential. So if Nas ever did step in, this wouldn't just be a diss, it'd be a lyrical execution. But fans are calling Jim out.
"Yeah, Jimmy boy, you should have never brought this up.
Oh yeah.
Y'all are only 3 years apart. And Nas is just like murdering you. You asked us to look up the stats and here they are. Like Jim Jones."
Them stats look bad. I don't know why Jim Jones mentioned them stats. He didn't do his due diligence when he said that. And that's why he said, "Yeah, I made a little boo-boo when I said it." Yeah, you damn right. You made a little boo-boo when you said something that you got better, said something about you have better stats than Nas.
Like, you got a couple songs. I mean, like, literally, it's a couple. But we're talking about Nas. Let me show y'all Nas's last projects. Nas been getting it in since 2018.
Yeah.
Jimmy, when the last time you put out an album? Oh, would you look at that?
Since 2018. Nah, Nas been getting it in since the 90s, boy.
You have been dropping music. You've really been dropping music. But nobody's heard it. Nobody's listening, bro.
Right now, Jim's still baiting, Nas is still silent, and 50 is still playing puppet master in the shadows. If that unreleased wiretap exists, Jim might have just talked himself into more than a diss, because while he's rapping and flexing,
Now this is for entertainment purpose. I love both Nas and Jim Jones music. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we doing this entertainment. You know what I'm saying? That's why I said this is levels to the brain. You know what I mean? Yeah, I enjoy both of their music. You know what I'm saying? More than balling. Remember with that DJ drama joint that Jim Jones had? What was this? 7 Day Theory? Oh man. I had that joint on repeat, boy. Yeah, y'all let me know what y'all think about 50 Cent. He about to get petty on him. He about to get petty. Jim Jones think he petty. Don't nobody want to try to, you can't out petty 50 Cent. You cannot, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think about the video though. Big Kesh signing out. I'm going, y'all.